Marvel strips the tackle from Young. Then the banana. Over the top of the goal, umpire's hand. Wingard, perfectly weighted kick. He gives it off to Amon, who runs to 55 and unloads from directly in front. Moore comes through with a handball over the top. Nash, iffy, 35 metres out. Stabs a goal and puts it through. Wingard 45 metres out. Handball to Moore. Just has to control it. He's taken in a tackle. Got the handball to Bruce. Throws it on the boot and puts it through for his second.
It was a tale of two halves at Marvel Stadium. The Hawks were wildly inaccurate early before eventually kicking clear, putting North to the sword. 48 points was the final margin, and we're back to recap all the action right here on the Hawk Talk podcast. Thank you for tuning in. My name is Nick Mason, and joining me as always, a man who I'm sure is moments away from presenting Hawthorn's expected score. G'day, Tiz.
Mate, I am outraged. The expected score in the Herald Sun is 90 points.
Okay, and would we...
Against our actual
How?
88.
How is that? I just double-checked our full-time score. How are we only...
I do not know, but we ran at 46% accuracy. Whatever. It's just killed stats for me forever. That's it. It's all over.
Well, that's unfortunate because we've got plenty more in this episode. 48 points, our biggest win at Marvel Stadium since round 22, 2019. And we were there, mate.
That was Ruffy's last match, wasn't it?
It might have been, actually.
Yeah.
Against the Suns, who we now can't beat. Well, that's not true. We beat them in Tassie last year, but every time we seem to play them anywhere else, we get pulverised. Anyway, we'll put that aside, I think.
71 inside 50s on Sunday.
Yeah, it was domination, clearly.
Yeah, and I enjoyed, hang on, let me see, 12 of them.
Well, when you put it like that, it was an ugly win, wasn't it? But that is the fifth most by any team this season, and one more, and this is damning, one more than what we recorded against the Eagles.
Wow.
So, I mean, really, we should have destroyed North. I mean, arguably we did, anyway. But 48 points. No. You wouldn't want to be playing for percentage, is my point.
There's another wonderful stat coming out of the weekend, and that's that there's two teams in the AFL who have an average losing margin of more than 50 points.
Oh, yes.
One is the Eagles, and the other is Port.
Okay, well, now I'm done with stats. So that makes two of us. Oh, dear, oh, dear. Hawthorn, the first term, I mean, mate, we've seen the Eagles play. We pulverised the Eagles by 100-plus points.
Yep.
But I will definitively say, when I sat next to you watching the first term, North are just about the worst team I've seen in a long, long time.
But we couldn't bury them. We couldn't rub their nose in it. Nothing. They were hanging around like a bad smell. It's exactly what I said we couldn't do, is get dragged down to their level.
Yeah, well, true. But we still won by 48 points.
In the end. And that was all thanks to the fact that we decided that, you know, everyone was just having a mare with the inside 50s.
Yes.
So we gave Finn the responsibility in the last quarter. And he had 9 touches.
He's
not dropping out of the side, Chief.
No, he's not.
Yeah, given the opportunity, and he didn't look great at Box Hill, but given the opportunity, he's standing up.
Well, lockdown jobs all round for Finn McGuinness. I mean, 3 from 3.
It's hard
tick.
Hard to know who to lock down at North, though.
True. Yeah, he didn't actually take on superstars, did he? I mean, one of them was a first-year player in Sheasel.
Yep.
Who was doing quite well, and then he was moving in the midfield, and Sam Mitchell said, right, well, we're going to stop that then.
It did well enough for Newcombe to give him a belt.
Well, true. Did you see Newcombe got 5 free kicks against?
Yeah.
Unbelievable. Anyway, Finn McGuinness.
They were getting quite frustrated, the Hawthorn players, with the inaccuracy. Yeah.
Well, they had to hold their nerve a bit. They had to steel themselves for a good second half. Finn McGuinness had 19 touches all up, 1 shot on goal, 1 goal assist. He is the best tagger in the comp.
He also had 7 scoring involvements.
Wow, okay.
Quite high for him.
Well, it's what we've been craving from Finn. We want that attacking flair. We know he's got the defensive game down, but we need to see a little bit more. So it's good that he brought that, albeit against North Melbourne. And yes, I will be doing all these drive-bys throughout the show.
But it was a tale of how good our midfield was.
Yes, well, I'm surprised in a way that we led with Finn, because there's a guy in this rundown, James Warple, who was BOG with just 70% game time.
What was he doing for the other 30?
Yeah, I don't know.
'Cause he seemed to be out there all the time.
Yeah, well, it seemed like he was everywhere. 32 touches for 702 metres gained, 7 clearances, 9 inside 50s, 6 tackles, which is second only to Will Day. He kicked 1 goal 3 and recorded a goal assist as well. 10 score involvements in all. That is one of Warple's best games.
It is, and it's timely because there's a lot of questions being asked about his contract.
Yeah, that's right.
But the thing for me was Warps had the acceleration away from the pack going.
Mm-hmm.
And he looked good. Even if we didn't hit many targets inside 50,
Yeah. Well, he had
Warple running away from his opposition,
speed, power, strength.
and the goal he did kick,
Yeah,
he stood up in the tackle.
exactly.
And then made sure of it with a lovely... Is an inside-out boomerang? Would that be right? Is that what you'd call
Sure,
that?
yeah.
Yeah.
Banana, maybe. Boomerang and play it came back to him. This question from Doc. With Warple still without a contract for next year, is his form building him currency for a trade? What's he worth as a trade, hypothetically? FYI, I'm loving Warp's season, almost back to his best, and each week he gets better. But will there be a squeeze on the midfield in 2024?
Well, I tell you what, they're not going to be in a situation where they're going to feel overly reliant on anybody in the midfield. That is not part of Sam's equation.
Yeah, I agree.
He wants so many rotations through that midfield that if Warple wants more than he's due, he won't get it.
Yeah, exactly right. I have a feeling that Hawthorn really do want to keep him, but they're prepared to part ways. If Warple walked out, Hawthorn would say, well, that's unfortunate. But we carry on.
They've done everything for him.
Yeah.
He's had great tutelage from Sammy, even before he was head coach.
Yep.
Look, if he's feeling pressure here, imagine the pressure he's going to feel as a recruit to a new club like Geelong.
Well, exactly. I mean, he's the most experienced head of this midfield contingent. He is getting every opportunity to perform. He is performing.
He's running at 63 disposal efficiency still, which is below the other midfielders.
Yeah. But I'm not surprised to hear that. It's never been his game. It does frustrate me, but
he is getting into the clear now.
Well, yeah.
So it's not like he's all on the inside. So, you're looking at Carl Amon at 85%, Will Day at 86,
Yeah.
Nash 84.
I wondered when we were going to get to Nash.
Well, I did enjoy some of his inside 50s.
32 touches for Nash, 9 score involvements, 9 inside 50s. That was an equal team high alongside Warple. So
and it showed. I was watching it. He was quite patient in releasing the trigger to hit up inside 50. Carl Amon is looking great. One of the better recruits of the season across the AFL.
Yeah, I was going to say comp-wide, for sure. And no one will talk about it because Hawthorn's 16th. But the fact is, for what Hawthorn wanted out of Amon and on paper, he has delivered. Huge tick.
Yep.
Star recruit, no doubt about it. 33 touches, a great goal as well, a booming goal.
Now, early on in the game, I was getting very excited about one Josh Weddle just seemingly doing whatever he liked.
Well, if I could just jump in for a minute, mate, before you get too ahead of yourself, before you get too carried away, I had a sneaky suspicion that we might be talking about Josh Weddle this evening. And, well, cue the jingle. Weddle, Weddle, Weddle. Weddle, Weddle, Weddle. Just a little bit. You like that?
Yeah. I whistled that in the crowd.
You came up with it, I was going to say.
And it became an earworm, didn't it?
Yeah, but because you did it in the last quarter, and it's all we could think about. Anytime there was a bit of silence, anytime there was a stoppage.
Weddle.
Anyway, what do you want to talk about with Josh Weddle?
Just the potential of the kid, the fact that he's so speedy, that he's a gun, that he's getting inside 50s at will. He is going to be immaculate to watch for, the next decade?
Yeah, and this wasn't one of his better games.
No,
which epitomises his potential. I mean, he runs all day, 14 disposals, 5 inside 50s. It means he's giving us a decent amount of drive as well.
When you have Connor McDonald getting 27...
Yeah, 27 did he? Bloody hell.
27, and very even across the game. 7, 5, 7, 8.
Yeah.
That's across the quarters. Mm-hmm. And look, he's getting 370 metres gained. The differential, 13 contested, 18 uncontested, 3 marks, 4 intercepts. When they start to gel, because I haven't seen Connor McDonald and Weddle gel at all.
Yeah.
They're going to be very good.
Well, you used the word immaculate, didn't you, before, I believe?
Yes.
Or maybe that was just in my head. But 3 players consistent with that. Weddle, McDonald and Day.
Yeah.
They are, the 3 of them, a joy to watch. And Newcomb is, in his own right, just a bit more grit. But I think those 3 I mentioned are just all class.
Oh, when Newcomb found some space in the last quarter, he was making it count.
Yeah.
He was a bit angry, old Nukes.
I mentioned Will Day. It seemed like 2 of him were playing at times. He was everywhere. 28 touches at 86% approximately. Disposal efficiency, he was excellent. Going back to Weddle, though, we had a question from Flat Track Paulie. What number will Josh Weddle wear next year? And can the club pass this on to parents before Christmas so kids' jumpers can be ready in time?
Wow. What are we going to have?
Well, this is it. Flat Track Paulie poses a question where we're starting to get into that murky territory of who remains at the club, who gets their marching orders, what numbers are going to be available, who gets promoted. I guess we'll see.
Is there any ruck talk on the rundown today?
Not this week, because I think we've overdone it.
Have we overdone it? Oh, well, I suppose they each took a mark this week, didn't they?
Yeah, and that's a pass mark, I think.
Look, he's very good at the hit-outs,
Yeah.
Reeves, and
Seemingly that's about it
yeah.
at the moment, which is unfortunate. Look, Ramsden would have been playing alongside Reeves, but he got hit in the head with a footy.
Yeah. How does that happen?
I have no idea, but he got a concussion from
During
it.
the three-peat, that used to be like what they did to loosen up. They just ping a footy at someone's head, remember?
Yeah.
What happened? 8 years later,
Just the standards of
can't
slipped.
play the next week.
It's this woke PC culture. No, look, it must have been a fair hit because he's out this week as well, Ramsden, so he's going to miss a little bit of footy because of that. I would have liked to have seen him play, but no, we had Reeves and Meek out there who were frustrating a lot of the day.
Well, I wanted to see Ramsden next to Mitch Lewis, to be quite honest.
Yes, well, yeah.
He's got that wonderful ability below his knees that we seemingly missed in the forward line.
Mm-hmm. Well, give me a ruck that can actually play forward. That Ramsden has that expertise. He's demonstrated that at Box Hill. The expertise I don't think Reeves or Meek have, sadly. I think they're trying to make it work, but it's not working.
And then you looked at the VFL and how Goldstein played. And you thought, well, thank goodness he played in the VFL.
Yeah.
And Hall had as many touches as there is a number on his back. He had 43.
Yeah, 43. I mean, Goldstein's a 300-plus game player. Why he's in the VFL, I'm not sure. It seems like someone you'd want to have setting standards.
Yeah,
but anyway.
but the VFL might be a priority. You know, you've got to pick your priorities, don't you? And that's... Is that obvious enough? Or?
Do you love how the media just straight up asks Brett Radden? It's like, so do you want a priority pick? What's he going to say? Of course he's going to say yes. What kind of question is that?
Did he say yes? He said read between the lines.
Well, he intimated strongly yes. But he's not going to say no.
They should still have a lottery and North just get another ball in the mix. That's what happens.
Yeah, okay. Well, I wouldn't be averse to that. Chad Wingard, 18 touches and 3 goal assists. Now, Chad's come along and cemented his spot again.
Cemented?
Well, I would say so. Who's taking his place at the moment?
Well, I mean, Butler didn't have a terrible game.
No, but he kicked 2-3.
Okay.
He sparked the fight back, but
yeah,
I don't know. It'll be up to, well, whether it's Butler or a different young gun to really seize the moment when their turn comes. But at the moment, you're picking Wingard.
What do you reckon, disposal efficiency-wise, Wingard ran out?
I know what it is.
Yeah.
It's garbage.
Yeah, it's pretty garbage.
Yeah, it was 56%.
But at least he got his hands on the ball, right?
Well, he creates. He's a playmaker. And that's better than being invisible, which is where he was, Tiz.
But he had a very high-pressure shot on goal and missed.
Yeah.
And being a senior head in the side, you need to be kicking those. Look, it's an improvement, but he's still a way off. He still looks rusty.
We had a question from Nick. Wingard has put in 2 pretty good performances in a row. What sort of trade value could we realistically expect? Or is it worth giving him 12 months? I've been in favour of moving him on, but our half-forward line lacks class at times, and good Wingard brings that. What say you?
He does bring class, but it's a class that I would say is more vision and what he wants to do now.
Yeah.
And the body isn't always able. Whether that's a fitness thing or not, I don't know. But you got to put it out there that his pressure on the weekend was probably in our top half.
Yeah,
of
it
our
was.
players.
Yep,
and
that's
certainly
true.
in the forward line, Wingard and Brockman led the pressure up there.
Yeah. Well, in terms of tackles inside 50, I think those two combined really, really well. I think Brockman had something like 7 tackles in the end.
Yeah, he had 5 tackles.
Oh, okay.
And he had 76% game time. Wingard had 83. There's a bloke we haven't spoken about though, and that's one James Sisley, or Captain James Sisley.
Yeah, well, it's fair to say we were hanging out for his return, and we talked it up last week on the podcast,
And we won.
well, exactly right.
We win 50% of the games he plays, apparently, in 2023.
So, what did you make of his return? It was a bit of a tune-up.
It was. And they put some effort into making sure
Yeah.
that he... And I think his opponent kicked 2 goals in the end.
Yeah. But they sat on him. They knew what they were doing. And,
But eventually he shrugged that off and he took a couple of clean marks at the end. And
yeah.
It's just shows you how much of a penalty that is to have to miss that amount of football.
Absolutely. I want to talk about a different defender, Sam Frost. Didn't really notice him, and that was a fantastic thing.
He was excellent. Come on.
Well, he was. That's what I mean.
There were moments where the ball was in dispute and Sam Frost would put an arm out or even just collect it and come straight through at pace.
Yep.
And it worked well.
Well, he froze out Larky. Larky did nothing. He kicked... Yeah, well, exactly. Suva, as they call him, kicked 1 goal. Virtually no impact.
Gee, the crowd was a bit quiet for North, weren't they?
Just because no one turns up, mate.
No,
we got
they
30,000.
We were surrounded by
Yeah,
North
well, I
people.
suppose so, yeah.
Right. And I know you're loud and I'm obnoxious, but nothing. We didn't get any peeps back at all, even when we weren't looking that good.
I think at the start we might have. You just didn't notice. And then I think people came to terms
Am I
with...
immune to it, am I?
I think so. Yeah. I think people had a process of coming to terms with what they were in for the rest of the day. Stopped looking around.
Yeah, but I was bagging the umpire as much as any North Melbourne players.
This question from Fusa. I personally like Seamus Mitchell as our small lockdown defender going forward. I also really like the idea of Demmer going forward and playing a Pal Pepper enforcer role later in his career. There's no fear factor in our forward line. We need to make defenders nervous.
Do you reckon he could be a Pal Pepper?
Oh, look, potentially. But I think he's a way off from that role at the moment. And I also think presently he's far too valuable. He's far too good where he is. I just don't think out of all the things I could dream of toying with in our current lineup, okay, there's 2 that come to mind that I would not do. You don't want to play Sicily forward. You leave him where he is.
You called for that before the match.
Oh, jokingly.
And I was so angry
cheek.
walking into the ground.
Tongue-in-cheek, evidently.
Sicily forward.
The emojis
And
communicated
then
that.
20 minutes into the first goal, I was like, no, that's actually good.
Crying
You're on
out
the
for
money there.
Okay, so I wouldn't touch Sicily, but I also wouldn't touch Hardwick. You leave him where he is.
Fair enough.
Unless you're really desperate, but I would say it robs us too greatly to move him. But in terms of needing to make defenders nervous and a bit of fear factor, part of the reason I included Fusa's question is, are we starting to see that with DGB?
Are we starting to see the fear factor
Well, he's got some
with
mongrel about him.
DGB in his second game forward?
Well, he's got the competitive spirit. He's got the grunt that none of our other forwards have.
Yeah, I guess he does. Sam seemed to think that it's a little misaligned, and he gets carried away with it and forgets the role that he's trying to achieve.
I can see that.
But that's just a maturity thing.
Yeah, well, as you point out,
But he
Tiz,
kicked a beaut goal.
Well, he did, but as you point out, second game doing it.
Yeah.
He needs to learn. Of course he's going to look a bit green in the forward line at the moment. Of course he's going to let things run a bit hot.
Do that deliberately, did you? Green in the forward line?
Okay, well...
How is his knee?
Well, he's sore. He's a test for this week. I'm going to bet that he doesn't get up.
See, what I want to see physically from a forward is what Cozzy did in his first and second year, which is where you just crash the pack.
Mm-hmm.
Come through, make sure people are aware you're a presence. I saw that a couple of times from Denver, but nowhere near enough. And as for Mitch Lewis, we both enjoyed watching him on the weekend, didn't we?
Yeah, I think for different reasons. I think you enjoyed seeing him bristle in his first half.
I was so niggling at you, just waiting for you to explode.
Did he or
You
did
turned
he?
to me at one point and said, "This is the last time we sit together."
Did he?
Look at his
or
positioning
did he
there,
not?
Nick. Can you believe he took up that? Harry is killing him. Not Harry, Ben.
Yeah, that's right. Harry just about as present as Ben on the day, but
There were
anyway.
a couple of moments for Ben, my goodness.
Yeah, I know. It's been highlighted by the media. But did he or did he not, Mitch Lewis, turn the game
He did.
off his boot?
He
Back-to-back
kicked
goals.
A wonderful goal, and then did it again a minute later.
Sam Mitchell's crying out at halftime, "We need someone to stand up and kick a goal." And Mitch said, "No worries, mate, I'll kick two."
I think he said that at quarter time, just
Yeah,
quietly.
probably. Yeah,
Took a little while.
yeah.
Mind you, but goal of the day, Bruce, no look, over
Wow.
the shoulder.
Wowee. And as you say, we couldn't kick one after that. But yeah, that was... he didn't need so much as a glance at the goals then.
Because you picked it at the time. You said, oh, look, he didn't even look.
Yeah.
And then we watched the replay and
Yeah.
you were right. Not even
Yeah.
a glance.
It was... That's just class coming to the fore.
And no big celebration.
No. Well, that's just par for the course with a champion, isn't it?
Yeah, like a spinner getting a caught and bowl. He just sort of tossed
Yeah.
the ball away and got a few little high fives. That was it.
You're dying for the Ashes, aren't you?
I am.
Yeah.
Tomorrow night.
Yeah, there it is. This question from Stu, based off our DGB talk. Could it be a masterstroke sending DGB forward? Getting at least a goal could be a massive confidence boost for him. Seems like a confidence player. Hopefully this gives him the spark he needs to take his game to the next level, whether that's forward or back.
Yeah, I agree. I think he needs to feel like he belongs. I think there's been a lot of pressure on the pick, or
Yeah.
it came with the pick, and it doesn't help that we've all devised ways to get better picks this year with DGB being involved. Or,
Not just us, it's the broader
Brockman.
media. Yep. It's the WA boys for some reason, isn't it?
although when I clicked on the article from the Herald Sun, that was like, oh, have a look at the list changes that might be happening. It just listed 5 players and gave absolutely no idea what might be happening.
Yeah, well, that sounds about right for this time of the season. You've got to let things, boil and bubble and simmer away a little bit longer. It's a fair way to play out till the off-season. DGB forward, I mean, it's early days. I would encourage them to stick with it.
Sam has already said that this is just a 4A forward, so he can work out his body positioning in contests and where he wants to be, because basically you want to be in the same spot whether you're forward or back.
Yeah.
And it's just a different dynamic. I'm actually attacking the ball. They might feel that Denver's too defensive in making sure that his opponent doesn't get to it first, so they're trying to change that mindset, take the front position, don't worry about it, that's where you should be. That kind of stuff. It's all a bit of a mental game. And he's still got to fill out a bit. So, look, he is definitely a backman. He's designated a backman. If you like him forward, don't get too attached to it.
Oh, well, we have other options forward. I'm not that worried. Brandon Ryan's waiting to come in, so I'm not that worried.
Did he do all right on the weekend?
Well, before we get to Box Hill, one final question from Neil. Does a win like this week's one against Witches Hats do us more harm than favours, or is the confidence boost just a good thing regardless? Can't help feeling many issues will get glossed over this week. I don't know if that's true. I don't think there's going to be too much glossing over. Sam Mitchell seemed decidedly frustrated in the press conference, especially with the scoreline.
Well, we've got Richmond without Dusty, so that's a start.
What do you mean without Dusty?
Well, he elbowed that bloke in the sternum, so...
Oh, no, that's allowed.
Was that...
Didn't you know? Tribunals fine him.
Oh,
that's it.
Oh, well, then it's not allowed
Yeah.
if it's fined. No, it's like a car parking fine.
I'm sure one of the wealthier players in the league will really feel that.
That's exactly my point.
The sting of the financial penalty for Dusty will be so great that he'll never do it again.
I always feel if I see a Lamborghini across 4 spots at the supermarket, oh, well, that fine will cost them.
That's exactly what it's like. I can't believe that he's playing against us. It's just... It is lottery. People bang on about it being all luck and all chance, but it does feel like that most weeks with the MRP.
That's probably because, I was just so keen not to have to play Dusty. But anyway.
Yeah. But it's a good test for our midfield, isn't it?
It is. Hopefully it's good weather. I think it'll be a great day on Saturday. 1 o'clock, isn't it? 1 o'clock? 1:10?
1:45.
1:45.
Yeah.
There we go.
Lottery.
Another lottery. Yeah, but should be a decent crowd.
You brought up Box Hill before. Let's get to the recap. Box Hill Hawks 10-13-73 defeated North Melbourne 10-8-68. We did the double, mate. We beat both North Melbourne sides.
With a game-saving tackle that was
Yes.
very much like, brought to mind, Jonathan Hay taking down David King.
Well,
All those years
different
ago.
part of the ground, I think.
Yeah, different part of the ground. Definitely. But Cooper Stevens with the tackle on Aaron Hall.
Yes, 21 touches for Cooper Stevens, 6 marks, 4 clearances, 6 score involvements too. He's got some midfield minutes he's racking up mixed with time forward too. That was a crucial takedown. Arguably saved the game, really. It seems like Hall was away and that they had options up forward to turn the game. North Melbourne had the ascendancy early, and they did hold control for a fair bit of the game, but then we started clawing our way back into the contest in the second half. It was Darcy Moore, a recent addition to the Box Hill lineup, gave us a lead around 9 minutes into the final term. From there, it was a serious tug of war, and I was watching, mate. It sort of bled into the third quarter, but I was watching us streaming on my phone, and Max Hall slotted a crucial goal, and from there it was a very frantic finish. It was to the point the game was happening in front of us, but I couldn't take my eye off the phone. Both sides were looking likely to create something, and Box Hill looking for their knockout blow and to get the job done. North were hoping to snatch the lead back at the death. In the end, we hung on for a 5-point win. Very satisfying indeed.
So who are we bringing up from the VFL? Because Ned Long's been very good for over a month now and keeps getting overlooked.
Just another high-quality hustle and bustle game from Ned Long, head-to-head with Hugh Greenwood at times, pivotal in turning the contest back our way with some great quality contested footy, 22 touches, 6 marks, 4 tackles and 6 clearances, and a really good goal in the final quarter. I thought was very smart. He just outsmarted his opponent there. Many weeks, Little John mentions how players need to find consistency. You see it in his write-ups. He talks about the final piece now is to keep on doing that consistently. Long has that, so we're just waiting. Week to week, he keeps showing up and he keeps getting it done.
Hugh Greenwood, is that another senior player that they didn't bother to put into the lineup?
Yep.
Oh, that's odd. Were they overconfident?
I don't know. I don't know what they're thinking down at Arden Street.
Jai Sarong still in the back half?
Yes, staking his claim as a quality defender across half-back. Solid in the air, solid at ground level, 22 touches at 86% efficiency, 5 score involvements, 2 contested marks. He's in a really good block of form. And I wonder when he gets his go. It feels like there's a bit of a queue across half-back.
He doesn't.
What, before the end of the year?
Nah.
Jeez.
Wouldn't have thought so. What about
That's a
Jekka?
shame.
Jekka's playing well in a similar role too.
Well, that's right. Yeah, Jekka might have to wait too.
CJ's done for a couple of weeks, maybe longer with a groin injury.
Yeah, they're not actually sure. According to the injury report, it's a groin injury, which is frustrating for him. No, this season is close to a write-off for CJ, honestly, and that's a damn shame because we know how exciting.
Got another year on the contract, of course.
Yes, yep.
So, but this bloke, and you don't hear much about him, flying under the radar, totally. Josh Bennett's.
Yeah.
Could he debut?
Well, he'd want to finish off his good work, to be honest. I think that's the thing keeping him out. He was the lone terrier, the other one being Jack O'Sullivan, who's sidelined at the moment.
You sure that's not a title for a film?
The lone terrier?
Yeah, it sounds like the sequel to Milo and Otis or something like that.
Homeward Bound or... Bennett's would have had a big day out. And like I said, if he just had to finish off his work, he kicked 3 behinds. But I mean, besides that, 14 touches and 7 marks.
But his skills are elite. Right?
Yeah.
He just doesn't accumulate.
Yeah, well, it's a modest sort of contribution. 7 score involvements as well, so it feels like his time's coming. But I'm not actually sure when.
And Max Hall, the best VFL listed. Yeah,
I would say so. A game high 9 marks to go with 19 disposals, 4 inside 50s, and a goal when it mattered most. The Iceman, the man from Montrose, making a huge impression. And I've called this from a long way out. I wouldn't be surprised if he ended up on an AFL list eventually. Not sure if it'd be Hawthorn, but damn, he looks good. He's an exciting player.
Could take Jacka's spot.
Oh, talk about Iceman. You are ice cold.
Well, I mean, it doesn't look like Jacka will get another contract, does it?
Well, I'm telling you, last week my prediction was
that
he'll get the Mitchell and Moore treatment.
Okay. Yeah, that's true. I remember you saying
he'll
that.
He'll get a
man.
reprieve late, and we'll see what he can do with that. That's my prediction. Next, Box Hill will be hosted by Richmond at the Swinburne Centre, also known as Punt Road Oval, of course, Saturday, 10:05 a.m. Now, that game will directly precede Hawthorn versus Richmond at the MCG, so get along, cheer on Box Hill, then walk over to the MCG. It's 4th taking on 8th, so it should be a good contest. So
That'll be a sellout. You better get there early if you want to see that, because it's a bloody phone booth, that stadium.
yeah, well, it's an odd one. Yeah, it's not the best venue to watch a game at, but still some fond memories there, mate. We'll talk about the AFLW a bit later, but that's where we got our first AFLW win.
Yeah, you got a hug, didn't you?
No, I wouldn't go that far. Wouldn't go that
There's a
far.
lot of hugging going on. I thought you might have copped one.
Well, yeah, it was a lot of celebrations, good vibes all around that evening. Speaking of the game at the MCG, Richmond versus Hawthorn at the MCG, Saturday, 1:45 p.m. Who's in, who's out? Well, my prediction would be that Fergus Green probably misses.
Yeah.
Yep, through knee soreness.
Richmond, having played West Coast, there's no problems with them.
No.
Is there?
No,
No
well,
injuries, or
Not as
they're
far as I
still
know.
without their first ruck choice.
Lynch
Curvis.
ruled out for the rest of the season.
Yeah,
so he's not
they're
coming
gonna
back.
bother with that.
Yep.
And of course, Dusty's going to join Hardwick up at Gold Coast. Has Carra gone with that yet, or am I?
You're getting out in front of it.
I'm getting out in front. There we go.
A question from Big Lad Hawks. Does Ryan get a crack if Fergus is injured, or does DGB start forward with a youngster as the sub? Also, has Ryan done any work at Box Hill as a second resting ruck forward? He has the height for it. Well, Ryan on the weekend kicked 1 goal, 12 touches. Relatively quiet compared to what he's been previously.
Pretty good number of touches for a key forward, though.
Yeah, not so bad. He isn't used as a ruck forward, though.
He is not.
Yeah,
No.
so we'll just put that out there.
Is that due to the lack of bulk?
I think it's just due to we have other options. We have Tucker, and Cozzy wasn't terrible. You know, it's not his go.
I'm
but
sorry. Tucker and Cozzy
Yeah,
on the weekend against Goldstein,
yeah. I'm not saying they're comparable.
and they didn't. You know, if Ryan had been able to do anything,
Hmm.
they would have helped. You know, they would have looked for a chop out.
Yeah, maybe.
I don't think he's been trained.
No, I don't think he was doing any of that stuff at the Bull Ants by the sounds of it. But does Ryan get a game this week? I'm going to suggest probably not. Going back to the inclusions, maybe Blank gets back into the side.
Nah, give me Ryan.
All right, well, I'm going to tell you that's not going to happen. And if I'm wrong, fair enough. You
Good.
get to call me out on it.
Excellent.
Anyway.
Probably Ramsden comes back after those.
No, he can't. Concussion protocols.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
What is it, 12 days, isn't it?
Yep.
Okay.
So Blank's available, but yeah.
So who's after Richmond?
St Kilda, I believe.
Oh, yeah. Another win. All right.
Wow, the way you said that. Like you just
We can't go anywhere. I'm happy to have a win. We can't get anywhere now. We can't catch anyone.
You're so used to winning, you're like, another win. I'm
No,
bored
I just
of it.
no. I shouldn't say I'm bored of winning. It's just that it's St Kilda and it's Ross Lyon and apparently needs another year. Did you hear that in the press? I need another year with these guys.
Yeah.
I
all
thought
right.
he signed. How long's he signed for?
I'm not sure. Too long.
Just add another year on. That's what he's asking for.
It wouldn't be like Ross to be defensive, would it?
Or is that what he meant? Maybe he just meant next year. I don't know.
Anyway, this question from Views from the Nosebleeds. Do we rest guys like Nash and Day in the coming weeks if they're sore to test Long, Stevens or Hustwaite?
I would give Long and Hustwaite an opportunity, probably in the forward line as well.
Look, you sort of implied before that we're not climbing the ladder. We're not catching anyone. And I don't think we're going to slip from 16th. It doesn't seem like it.
No.
So...
Because we beat North. That's
well,
why.
yeah, but the time for experimenting and giving these guys a rest, it doesn't seem like there's much of a cost to that. I mean, you know, Day and Nash have worked bloody hard all year. You could give them a week, couldn't you?
There's a lot of pride for Nash and Day to get
Yeah.
selected
Yeah, I suppose.
in the 16th worst side. Sorry, the 16th best side
Yeah.
in the AFL.
Yes, it's all a matter of perspective, isn't it? I want to see Long, Stevens and Hustwaite. Whether the club actually do it or not, I'm
I
not
doubt
sure.
you're going to see Stevens. I don't think he's impressed enough. But anyway,
My prediction of Long having a big second half of the year is happening. but in the VFL. I want to see him back in the side. Anywho, this question from Ian. What sort of a list turnover do we expect at the end of the season? Do we split pick 3 and try and add 4 to 5 youngsters again? Because we still have a lot of holes in our list.
We do. The best 22 is still not very clear. Anyone over 28 is negotiable.
Mm-hmm.
And that seems quite young, actually. But when you think about it, that's pretty much the line.
That's what I thought as well. Yeah.
And usually you see, 6 to 7 as an average list turnover.
Mm-hmm.
So it's probably more than 4 to 5 coming onto the list. And there's going to be some shocked talents, I would say.
I think so. It's like I've forecast in previous weeks that if you're going to do a rebuild, you've got to be prepared to be a bit ruthless. You've got to do this properly and really go after the pieces that you need. And I know Sam Mitchell says that, well, he has the majority in front of him right now. But he did say that at the AGM last year. Now, a fair bit has happened since then. I wonder how he feels about it around this time.
Yeah, we haven't had that date released yet, have we, for the
AGM?
Yeah. I noticed the PCM's up.
Yes. And the 2013 reunion.
Yeah.
Got my tickets to that.
Have you?
Yep, not sure who else is turning
up.
But...
Is there a player on your table money bags?
Oh, God, I'm not spending that much. Jeez. We'd better get to some social media stuff, mate, before we wrap up. Now, you know what really puts a spring in our step, listeners, besides a Hawthorn win? When people take time out of their day to leave a rating or even a review of our show on Apple Podcasts or wherever they're listening to it. We were delighted to read a 5-star review submitted just this past week from APod89. It reads, "Thanks, fellas. Enjoy the podcast, the banter, and the Hawks analysis. Cheers." 5 stars from APod99. That's very generous.
Can you review on Spotify? Because...
well...
I recommended the pod to someone.
Yeah.
Not mentioning I did it. And which is my way. And they're like, oh, that actually has quite a good rating. And I was like, yeah, pretty good.
Okay. Well, we're going to have to look into that. I don't use Spotify much myself. But if people are rating and reviewing it over there, well, we better give them a shout out.
Avoiding all their reviews. Anyway.
It's mistakenly.
Yeah.
It's not purposefully at all. But if people are giving us a shout out over there, well, we better return the favour in kind. Meanwhile, as always, it's great fun basking in a win with the community that we've built around the show. Get on board. Join us on our various social media channels. We're on Twitter, Facebook and Instagram. So hop online and join the conversation. And finally, as always.
Threads.
And Threads.
Are we on Threads?
No.
Is that dead yet?
Yeah, I haven't heard anything for about a week and a half about Threads.
Even Zuck hasn't threaded in a week.
Telling. Anyway, massive thanks to our proud, passionate, paid-up Patreon subscribers. We really appreciate all of you supporting the show, making a very real contribution towards what you hear week in, week out. We can put time into this thanks to you guys and gals. For everyone else, if you're interested in joining us and supporting the show, head to patreon.com/HawkTalkPod.
And now for the censored part of the podcast. Tiz talks Ashes, and also we get to the Women's World Cup. Because you're not allowed to mention that if you're in the AFL fraternity, are you?
Well, actually, speaking of that, I saw that our Hawthorn AFLW social media team gave a shout-out to the Matildas.
Is that allowed?
Yeah, I wondered about that.
Yeah.
I'm like, well, I get the spirit of it, but I couldn't help but think...
Gill and Dill will be calling up for a phone.
They're straight on the... Straight on the line. Cut that out immediately.
Yeah, they don't need a leg up. No.
Anyway, staying with the AFL, the fixture has been announced finally. I mean, we were closing...
I saw the first game came out, and I'm like, oh, these guys, they really know how to piss people off. Just give them one game. There you go.
The whole thing's been announced
There's a little crumb.
I mean, it took about... We're closing in on 40 days till the season starts.
Is it that far away? That's plenty of time to organise your calendar.
Yeah, it's definitely on par with
work out where Kinetic Stadium might be.
Well, this is
Get
from...
the Melways out.
This is from Hawthorn FC. The Melways? What year are you living in?
I don't know, but they're definitely not a Kinetic Stadium, man. I'll tell you that.
HawthornFC.com.au reported Hawthorn's 2023 AFLW fixture has been revealed, with the Hawks set to open up the season at home in Frankston against old rivals Essendon on Saturday the 2nd of September. The scintillating matchup is one of 4 games at Frankston's Kinetic Stadium this season, with the Hawks set to also face Melbourne, Brisbane and Port Adelaide at the iconic venue.
I'm sorry, iconic?
Yeah, I don't know if I would go that far, but then I don't know much about the history of the place. I do know that when I attended last year...
That was the place where you took a photo of the sunset, wasn't it?
Yes. Oh, it's a gorgeous place. I quite like it. I look forward to returning to it. I mean, I'm going to have to look forward to it
Is
because
it the type of? Oh no, it's going to be a bit cold, isn't it?
it is going to be cold.
Yeah, you can't take your togs, go for a swim at half time, come back.
I don't know if I'd advise that.
Okay.
Box Hill City Oval won't be available, sadly. That's why we're going to be at Frankston.
Why is that?
Aren't they doing renovations? They're doing it all up, aren't they?
Yeah, we got a fair bit of money out of the Vic government.
Yeah, that's right. Big redevelopment. Priorities in order. Redevelopment of Box Hill is underway, and forget the Commonwealth Games.
Now, wasn't Geelong Footy Club the recipient of Commonwealth Games grant to upgrade their stadium? And I presume that should be rescinded.
Yep. Anyway,
Finally, a redistribution I can get behind.
so as predicted, Frankston will indeed be our home ground for this AFLW season. Hawthorn acting CEO Ash Klein commented, Frankston became a bit of a fortress for us last season, and we hope to continue that trend with 4 games there in rounds 1, 4, 5 and 9 this season.
1, 4, 5 and... How many rounds are there, Nick?
Only 10.
Right.
And players are calling for an increase. Everyone's calling for it to be increased. And I think fair enough.
How many teams are there?
Well, there's 18.
Right. I'm not sure, but maybe the fixtures are better weighted in the AFLW, Nick. Perhaps. Have they solved that conundrum?
Well, you tell me as I go through some of the highlights of our fixture. We're off to Cairns.
Oh.
I thought you'd like that. We're hosting Richmond in Cairns. That's part of Indigenous round. Okay, that's great. But also a deal with the Queensland Tourism Board, which I didn't know we had. But apparently that's what that's all about. Anyway.
Anyone that goes to Cairns is on a deal with the
tourism.
Come
on. We'll be playing Geelong on their home deck in the final game of the home and away season, celebrating Pride Round. We'll also be playing the Dogs in Ballarat at Mars Stadium, the Saints at RC Park, the Swans in Sydney, and Freo in Perth. And I think that just about rounds it out. I think we've mentioned every game.
Are we sponsored by Jetstar or Qantas? Or
it seems to be a lot more varied than what we had in year one.
Yeah,
I'll say that
there's
much.
going to be some frequent flyer miles.
Absolutely. Is it you and I heading to games?
Nah. Are we?
You got to get out to Frankston.
Is it getting televised at all? Or
yeah,
what's the deals like?
No, some of our games will be televised. I think that the one in Cairns, I think, is on Channel 7. That's a Friday night one from memory. People will correct me if I'm wrong about that. I'm just doing it off.
Is
off
KO
record.
doing it or?
Yeah, it's on Foxtel and stuff as well.
Okay.
Yep. So anyway, it's finally been announced, and it's good to be able to get behind it. I wish they'd treat the AFLW with a bit more respect. If the powers that be want support behind it, then they need to put support behind it themselves. It's as simple as that.
Well, when your major demographic is, children under 10 and 14 who are interested in seeing women's football, and you've given young families less than 5 weeks' notice, it's probably not really going to work out for you.
Yeah, funny that.
And considering they've got to go to Frangers.
Well, I'll be there, and I hope you're able to join me for one or two of those, because it's a great venue and really excited about the team. Had some great acquisitions in the off-season, and it's all ahead of us.
But in a couple of years, it'll all be at Dingley, won't it?
Well, exactly right. That is the ultimate goal there. Mate, to close out the show, Hawthorn Richmond. We've just had a win, albeit against North Melbourne, the lowly North Melbourne. So how are we feeling heading into the Richmond game?
Oh, I'm feeling wonderful.
Yeah? You're up and about.
Yeah.
Why?
Well, one of the few times I backed the boys in to get the margin, as you tweeted at the start of the match.
That was excellent.
When that banner came up, love the game, not the odds. I was looking at my phone at the time.
The banner, listeners, was literally, in case you don't follow us on Twitter, was literally being brought up right in front of us. And the side that was facing us read, love the game, not the odds. And Tiz was looking at his phone at the time and saying to me, while looking at his phone, I reckon we can get this done, referring to his multi. Excellent.
And they did get it done.
They did get it done.
But as it was a margin, I was sweating over every set shot.
So did you want to disclose how much this was worth, or you want to keep that to yourself?
No, it's worth an AFLW membership, isn't it?
Well, I'm glad to hear that you've got yourself an AFLW membership. So we're headed to Frankston. That's signed, sealed, delivered. Thank you very much. The Richmond game, what's your tip? Do you actually think that we can beat them? I find it really hard to get a read on Richmond, to be honest. I don't know what to expect this week.
I felt that over the last month that our selection has been troublesome. I didn't even think our selections were that good on the weekend. They'll need to be better against Richmond. They know what they can do well, and I'm really hoping that our midfield can actually stand up.
Yeah, that is the big question. Who did we bring in? We brought in Bruce Sicily. We weren't going to play. We're going to play Ramsden, but then Meek came in. Bruce didn't have a massive impact in terms of disposals, but he still kicked 3 goals. Sicily needed the run.
Yep.
Meek was about as meek as you'd think.
Well, I just think that we've been going in too tall into some games, and
yeah, I agree.
Even
with that.
when it's been wet underfoot.
Well, okay, let me clarify. It's a different type of tall. I think Mitch Lewis needs support. I don't think we should be playing 2 rucks at the moment. I think we need to shelve that experiment for a little while. Try something else. But I don't know. Anything could happen this weekend. You got a team.
I agree. Anything could happen because I'm not sure they got a lot of confidence out of North though.
Well, you got a team that played against North. You got the other team that played against West Coast.
Yeah.
So what kind of barometer is that? What kind of measurement is that?
They didn't look great against West Coast.
No,
West
well, that's
Coast
true.
hung around. What was their final margin about?
It was only about 30 points.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, look, we didn't look too good against North for a half, so...
Exactly.
Again, who knows? Anything could happen this week. With that in mind...
But if we win, it's over for them. No finals.
I back us in. Why not? Sure. In terms of confidence to take out of North, I think that is key. We saw what happened when we got on a roll, when we beat the Eagles. That seemed to light a fire under us. So I believe in the power of confidence.
I believe we should have won by 90 points, even if this stupid, ridiculous expected score that I'm never going to look at ever again as a stat says we should have won by another 2 points.
And just like that, we've come full circle. This has been the Hawk Talk podcast. We'll be back, as always, win, lose or draw next week to recap all the action from the weekend. We are a happy team at Hawthorn.